Hey, what's up and how's it going? My name is Toby, and today we're going to take a look at the sample scenes of the AR Magic Bar, which is a Unity asset that I've created, and I'm just going to basically navigate you through the sample scenes, and we will discover what kind of interesting features and options have been used there. For example, there is this tower builder game which will allow you to place these objects, build a tower, and then shoot a ball at them, which could be a great prototype for any kind of AR game. And that's what the AR Magic Bar is ultimately for, so to provide you with just a great foundation to create your AR games and experiences. So without any further ado, let's jump right in. Alright, so now I want to show you some of the sample scenes within the AR Magic Bar. So we got 3 sample scenes, and I just want to basically show you what you can do with it, what you can learn from it. And you will find those within the AR Magic Bar if you have imported this one. In one of the last tutorials, I did a whole tutorial on how to set up the AR Magic Bar. And then under sample scenes, you will find the physics tower, the pick up and place, the simple placement, and Spellcaster. Actually, there are 4 sample scenes, so one more, that's always great. Let's begin with the simple placement. So if you click on this, we can already see this scene demonstrates the very basic functionality, so placing an object and being able to manipulate it. And if we take a look on how things are being done here, we can see that we have 2 databases here with cubes that have been created. So basically went ahead and created these folders, and then within the AR Magic Bar here created a placeable object database, and I called this one database 1. And then within the prefab and image editor, we can drag it in. Just added a cube with a image, and the same thing for the database 2 here. And then under that we have the original prefabs, just the cube and the cube icon. And if we hit play here, we can see that we have 2 objects here that we can just click on and place like this. We can click on the objects and manipulate those, so turn and maybe move, and let's scale this one up like this. And we can also go ahead and open the inventory system and put our object into the inventory system. So this text here is annoying a bit, so let's turn this one off, and we can see that we have 2 databases here that we can use. So let's drag this one back in here. And yeah, so this is very basic functionality of the AR Magic Bar. So then next up, let's take a look at the physics tower, because this is one of the, well, most exciting scenes here. And if we go ahead and just click play, we can see that we do have, if we click on the inventory system now, more objects here. So we have 3 databases. And those databases also work with limited inventory. So if we're going ahead and place an object right now, we can see it's going down 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, and then it's being grayed out. And the same thing, of course, with all the other objects. Some of these objects can be placed, well, by clicking once and then placing them all. Some of these objects have the option that they are, well, being that they need to be re-clicked each time. And we also see we have some kind of physics here. So we can move this object around, maybe move it up, and it will, as long as we move it and select it, it will deactivate the rigid body, move it up, and then just click on the X, click away, and well, the rigid body is on again, like this. And for some reason, well, the objects all begin moving. So we could just click this one, it will stop, then move it back, and leave it alone again. So this game is thought somehow as a prototype to build some kind of tower, let's say, like this. It's already wobbling. And then maybe place some kind of roof on here, like that. And then you can click on throw and it will just shoot a ball, can make it fall, like this. So this would be some kind of game that you could potentially build with the AR magic bar, like this. So to investigate a bit how it has been done, we can click on the scripts here, and we're going to see one script. This is saying remove object from inventory at runtime. If we double click on this one, we can basically also see that it has a lot of comments. But what we did here is that, okay, if an object has been spawned from the AR placement plane mesh on object spawned with SO, and basically if you want to know all of these methods and events that you can subscribe to, you can just open up the AR Magic Bar documentation, which is on a website. So here it is, and we can just scroll down and take a look at the APIs section. And here we do have the AR placement plane mesh and a lot of events that we can subscribe to and potentially use the information on. Same with the placement objects and same with a lot more. So these are all options that we can use to customize and use the AR Magic Bar to its full extent. So in this case, we're subscribing that if an object is being spawned, then we want to go into the objects placement object SO and get the amount on inventory and reduce this by 1. So use the set method here. And basically what we are doing is we are going into, if we're going to go ahead and go here now, placeable objects, let's say into the cones. We do have this scriptable object here, and this one has enabled amount in inventory on at 5. And if we double click on the placement object SO, we do actually see that it has methods to set the amount in inventory, and also, for example, to set whether this one is enabled in UI or whether this one is being grayed out. This one is enabled in inventory, and this one is enabled in UI. So this one will fully hide an item, and this one will only gray out the icon. So we are using these methods here to then, if the inventory amount is 0, just set the is enabled to select. So there's an is enabled, and this one will fully hide it, and is enabled to select will gray it out. And then, of course, as they are scriptable objects, the numbers that are being set, they might stay even after finishing the game. And so here we're just gonna set the initial inventories, and we're going to do, or reset the inventories, and we're going to do this on destroy. So basically, if we're going to stop the game, stop the scene from running, then we're going to reset everything. So this is how it's done, and then there is also more logic to it. So we want to disable the rigid body for the selected object. And if we open the script up, we can see that we are subscribing here to the select objects logic. So again, something that we have here in the documentation. So the select objects logic, which also fires events, which is an instance. So here we are subscribing to onSelected object with info. So if we have an object that we select, then we will get the info on what kind of object. And here we can just go ahead and get the rigid body and set it to kinematic, and then store it here in rigid body, as we'll only be able to select one object at a time. And then on deselect all, so if we deselect, if we click somewhere else, then we are going to set the kinematic to false, and this deselect all is called anytime when we select either another object or just click somewhere on the screen where there's no object at all. And so finally, we have to throw balls on button, but this is not really special to the AR Magic Bar. But what we do have is on the placeable objects, we do have another script, and this one sits on the transform elements, and this is called make transform gizmo followed rigid body, because by default the transform elements, so the XYZ axis, for example, those green, blue and red gizmos, they do not follow the rigid body by default. And here we created this script which will simply attach the gizmos to the rigid body's position. And that's it for this example. So then next up there is the Spellcaster example, and this one is quite interesting because, so let's simply click on play here. So this one is quite interesting because it will not use any kind of placement. You can just click on here, and you also don't have the inventory or hide option, and it will then just play this kind of spell that you could imagine. And so this could also be used if you had some kind of gun and you could just use different kind of ammunition types, switch between them, and just then shoot. And the way that this works, actually, if we're going ahead and take a look, is we have some kind of logic here, which is simply the shoot spells logic. So this one will also subscribe to the onSpawn object with screen position method, and it's going to use the screen position and the object to spawn information here to then, first of all, get a spawn position near the camera position. So wherever the player clicked on the screen, and then it's going to instantiate the object that we created, so the placeable object on the screen position, and it's just going to shoot forward automatically. And the way that this works is we have also very easily created some placeable objects here, so the spell blue, for example, and here we just went into the scriptable objects and we disabled the spawn or the is placeable option, and we're going to access, however, just the placement object, and we're going to instantiate it in another way than the AR Magic Bar would normally do. So then there is one more sample which is very interesting. This is the pick up and place example. So if we hit on play here, we are going to see an object here with a limited number. Sometimes there's a sweet error with this scene. I'm not sure why it is that this number is not appearing. For that, simply stop the scene and start it again. I'm not sure why this is with this specific scene. And here we can click and we can place it, and we're going to see the number going down. And if there is, no object, it's even gone from our placement bar here. But if we click on the objects, we'll see some kind of custom interaction, and let's click on it again. And here we have it back, and we can collect these objects again. And this is also just a nice showcase for custom interactions. And if we just stop the scene here for a second and take a look at the custom interactions here, so this is where the logic is, we see that we have two scripts. One is to add objects and one is to remove objects. So let's first of all take a look at the remove objects. So we do have a placeable object as our database here, which is the one that we are using. And then we're going to subscribe to the AR placement plain mesh, and then on an object was spawned with information about the scriptable objects, we are going to take a look in our database whether we do have the object, and if the amount, so the enable amount in inventory is active, and if so, we are going to reduce the amount in inventory by 1. And if the inventory amount is 0, we're just going to disable this one in the UI. And so then in the other script, we do have the custom interaction, which I explained how to create in the other tutorial, how to set up the AR Magic Bar. And we also have our object database here that we're using. And so when the custom interaction has been triggered, we are going to first of all check whether this is our pickup animation. And if so, we want to destroy basically the object, so this spawned game object that has been created. And we want to make sure that the object is enabled within our database. So because if we pick up an object, we do have at least one. And we also want to increase the inventory amount by 1. And then also we want to deselect all objects, since when we just destroy an object within the scene, the AR Magic Bar still thinks that this object might be selected. So let's make sure that this is not the case any longer. And here, of course, we're going to reset just the amount in inventory and all of the settings in the beginning, as we're dealing with scriptable objects, and those settings in the scriptable objects, they will be persistent. So they will be even persistent when stopping the current game session. All right, and this is a quick overview of the sample scenes that we do have. And so in the future, there might be more or advanced sample scenes, but those should give a good overview on what you can do with the AI Magic Bar. These sample scenes are made for the URP. So if you are on the built-in render pipeline, you will also find here materials for the built-in render pipeline. And so all you got to do is basically convert those materials. So simply select those and put it onto the placeable objects. But that's it. So thanks a lot for watching and see you next time.